Hello there and welcome once again. We are glad that you've made UBC TV your channel of choice. On sign language, it is Elizabeth Nakakoni and I am Edward Rukidi Kijanangoma. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has asked for the intensification of commercial agriculture. The president was officiating the 34th NRA Victory Day anniversary celebrations held at St. George's Core Primary Teachers College, Ibanda District. The occasion was marked under the theme Celebrating NRA Patriotic Struggle that ushered in national unity and social transformation. The former president of Tanzania, Jakaya Kikwete, was the special guest at the celebrations. The occasion was also attended by, among others, the Parliamentary Speaker, Right Honorable Rebecca Litwala Kadaga, Deputy Speaker Jacob Ulanya, Chief Justice Bart Katurebe, and Cabinet Ministers. We have this story.
NRA Patriotic Struggle.
Soldiers were smart. Patriots were present as ministries, departments and agencies participated in the parade march past to observe the 34th NRM Liberation Anniversary.
NRA Patriotic Struggle.
Behind this celebration was a strong concern by Uganda's head of state, who decried continued reliance on subsistence agriculture, a trend he once changed.
To go from negative tradition to modernity in agriculture, because you find that many of the Ugandans, and I believe many other Africans, are in agriculture. But many of them are in agriculture that our Bagwere people from eastern Uganda, they call Okolera Echida Chonka.
It is until this message sinks in the minds of Ugandans that Uganda will register double economic progress, consequently leading to improvement in other sectors.
All the homesteads in the rural areas must produce for food, but also for money.
What derails such efforts, however, remains corruption by government officials who are reported to be stumbling blocks for potential investors.
Therefore, in terms of attracting more factories, we have got only one problem: the corruption of public servants who want bribes. When somebody wants to come and bring a factory, they ask for a bribe first before they process the papers. We are going to finish those people. These are the only remaining enemy, the corrupt public servants who delay decision making. But they are very easy to deal with. And I have agreed with some of the ambassadors that these people who come from outside, if somebody asks for a bribe, the investor should whisper to the ambassador of his country. Then we shall lay a trap to catch that thief and send him to Luzira. So the thieves, either you change or you will end up in Luzira.
Museveni also eyed on improved marketing for agricultural products through improved post-harvest handling practices. To complement this milestone was Uganda's sovereign neighbor Tanzania, whose former president Jakaya Kikwete congratulated Ugandans.
President, all I can say is thank you for being a mentor to some of us as we are growing up. And you have continued to be a mentor to many leaders on the African continent. Please continue to do the good work, for the people of Uganda, for the people of East Africa, and for the people of Africa and beyond. Fellow citizens of East Africa, in particular the people of Uganda, congratulations on this very auspicious day of celebrating the 34th anniversary of the liberation of Uganda.
The 34th NRM Liberation Day was celebrated under the theme, Celebrating NRM's Patriotic Struggle that ushered in national unity and socio-economic transformation. Henry Okut, UBC.
The president there, of course, rallying residents of Uganda on viable agriculture as the 34th Liberation Day anniversary was celebrated in Ibanda district. Still in a related development, but coming closer home, Muyenga Bukasa residents have commended NRM government under President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for transforming the country. Led by the area chairperson Yasin Omar, the residents vowed to continue supporting the NRM owing to its good programs that have promoted education, health, roads infrastructure, among other sectors.
Muyenga residents in Kampala have this Sunday joined the rest of the country to mark the National Resistance Movement government anniversary. The chairperson, Muyenga National Resistance Movement Village Council, Yasin Omar, was addressing the media at his office in Kampala.
This is a big day which should be celebrated by all Ugandans. NRM leadership is the best offer for this country. Because when you look at FDC, they don't present a program apart from changing leadership. When Bobby Wine was asked by foreign media what was his manifesto and program, he admitted that he will only implement NRM programs. So, which means the programs of NRM are good for this country.
Yasin Omar says they are ready to vote President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni in the forthcoming elections due to the government's achievements like roads, building schools, electricity extension across the country.
Here, under my jurisdiction, Muyenga and some part of Bukasa, even as far as Kibuli, we are going to vote for President Museveni because we believe that he tried his best to rule this country in transparency, the best way he could. In fact, for us, to vote Museveni is already, we are just waiting the ballot day. If there was a way of voting in advance, we will vote.
We want to thank our government, more so our President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, for ruling us well, and he had managed to make for us roads, constructing hospitals, and setting up some simple jobs for youth in Uganda, and has constructed many roads. But we appreciate him because he has done so well for us, like us youth, and he has not left us behind. So we are hoping that 2021 elections, going to be together with him, and we are going to continue supporting him, and we shall be together with him.
A Forum for Democratic Change Party activist also, a Muyenga village resident, Pade Tenywa, appreciated government for the quality service delivery. He, however, advised against over-reliance on external borrowing.
Technology in Uganda, it is on a high rate. People now are on digital. People are using phones, they can communicate, communication is very easy. But again, when you look at the borrowing rate, the GDP of Uganda and the ratio of GDP to debt, there is a big debt compared to the GDP. You find that now debt in Uganda is almost 40 trillion shillings, according to the Minister of Finance, and they are still borrowing. We need to find out the reasons why our economy is not being sustainably on track.
I'm Nafka Farida and Akathura Nelson.
Muyenga residents ready, and if they could vote in advance, they could have already done it. Now, Uganda has made big strides in improving healthcare service delivery in the last 3 decades. As the old saying goes, a health population is a wealthy population. A reduction in infant and maternal mortality rate is an indicator of progress in the health sector. Now, while there is proof of better service delivery, it goes hand in hand with skilled personnel and improved infrastructure in place. As we celebrate 34 years of NRM, Mutonyi Hilda gives us some of the achievements in the health sector.
As the mother rejoices after delivering a healthy baby, so is the national resistance movement as it celebrates achievements in the last 34 years. The director of Mulago National Referral Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Baterana, provides an overview of the health sector in the country.
First of all, it started in 1913. 1913, at that time, it began as a center for treatment of sexually transmitted diseases, especially syphilis and gonorrhea, as well as trypanosomiasis, that is sleeping sickness, which was mainly predominant in the present-day Kalangala district, and malaria, as well as what people called witchcraft, because many people at that time in Uganda here, there was a lot of witchcraft.
Having started as a center in 1913, there was need for Mulago to train paramedicals by 1924 to assist the British and Indian health workers for quality health service delivery.
And at that time, you see the 6th floor, when you look at the 5th floor, 6A, 6B, 6C, had been designed to be the private wing for the elite, the whites, and the people who were in petitions, actually. You can recall that in 1969, the president of Uganda was admitted in there. That is a fact. You can recall that. So that was a place actually of the elite.
Lower Mulago was constructed and handed over by the British to the newly independent Uganda between 1957 to 63. Makerere Medical School, housed at Mulago Hospital, was regional hub and center of excellence for training medical personnel within Uganda and from Kenya, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe, among others.
These Indians were the professors in the university. They were senior consultants here in Mulago, and when they went, now we started actually a decline in the services. The cases that used to come from Nairobi looking for us in Mulago as gurus, actually in the medical profession, people are coming from Nairobi, from Tanzania, and actually we're really much ahead. We are talking of Nairobi Hospital or Muhimbili National Referral Hospital, but Mulago was extremely too ahead of everybody.
Between 1970 and 1980, the Ugandan public health sector was on its knees, except for Mulago Hospital, though the expulsion of Indians and white medical personnel partially affected the institution. By 1986, Mulago was poorly lit, lacked water, and for that resorted to constructing pit latrines. It was until President Yoweri Museveni intervened that the institution normalized.
That the only place actually that was functioning and limping was Mulago. So people were coming now to Mulago, those who flew around here. At that time, actually, in the 70s, in 60s and 70s, we had even a cath lab, a cardiac catheterization lab, which you would use actually to see the heart. Those were in the Department of Medicine, but all of those stopped actually functioning because Mulago was already leaking, the roofs were leaking. So this is what you see, the blue roofs, which we are seeing in Upper Mulago here, were because of that loan of the early 90s of African Development Bank, and that was when the government came into power, and because the hospital was leaking, that is exactly what happened.
14 regional referral hospitals in the country are being refurbished, staff houses being constructed, some wards overhauled, and equipment purchased. The executive director of Mulago Hospital, Dr. Byarugaba Baterana, says a number of specialized training in treatment of kidney, liver, heart, lung, and cornea transplants have been carried out. Trained medics are eagerly waiting to demonstrate their skills in the new Mulago Specialized Hospital.
I understand also people can transplant the uterus and so forth, and they do very well. So we have had really training in that, and we have experts, and these experts are all really waiting for the day we open Lower Mulago, and they are really like cats waiting for rats. and they will be able really to do the needful, and that is exactly the case of the NRM government.
Mulago Hospital has 27 intensive care units for adults and 8 for children, a magnetic resonance imaging, MRI, mammography, 16 centralized theaters, 2 x-rays, all which require expertise. Mulago currently boasts of the first ever female and neonatal hospital with 453 beds and 10 theaters, 110 housing units for health personnel, the Uganda Heart Institute, the Uganda Cancer Institute, Chirudu, Kawempe, Butabika, and the Pediatric Referral Hospital.
Kawempe, Chirudu, and Naguru were constructed to decongest Mulago and pave way for Mulago to handle only super specialized cases. And that is what they are currently doing and enhancing their capacity to do it.
Pierre Rugaba is, however, not happy with medical personnel with double loyalty. He says a number of doctors work in more than one place, eating into the time of patients in public hospitals.
If you are a medical doctor and you are a consultant in Mulago and you admitted another a very sick patient in, for example, in Akasero IHK, and there's also another very sick patient in Mulago, it is 8 a.m. East African Standard Time. Where do you first go?
There are issues of absenteeism, theft of drugs, and taking of bribes by some health workers for services that are supposed to be free.
There is also need to enhance salaries for health workers to enable doctors work in one place.
To the improvement of this is that improve the salary of the worker and say you must keep here. If you don't want to keep here and want to work elsewhere, go. Because I think this was done for the judges and the magistrates. Once you are employed by government, you don't go into the private chamber.
That enhancement of the salaries of the medical personnel can also be done so that we can be able to attract back the human resources, the critical human resources that we need in the health sector.
In service delivery, a lot of preventable diseases, especially the immunizable diseases, were at 34%, prompting President Yoweri Museveni to relaunch the immunization program in 1987. There was high malaria burden, polio and TB. In 2000, more than 4.6 million children under the age of 5 died of 6 killer diseases. But there was a drastic reduction, down to 2 million in 2015.
So when we talk about 34 years of NRM, I must say there has been great achievement in the health sector, and I will start with the statistics. First of all, our life expectancy increased from where it was at 45 years now to 63 years. When the life expectancy of a population increases, it means the health of the population is better.
There has also been a reduction in maternal mortality rate, with figures dropping from 505 at a time to 336 per 1,000 live births.
At that time, our infant mortality rate was at 150 per 1,000 live births. Today, our infant mortality rate has dropped down to about 43. The under 5 mortality rate was very high, over 90. Today, it is at less than 54.
There is progress in HIV/AIDS treatment, with the number of people on antiretroviral drugs. Over time, government has increased the investment in funding ARVs to the tune of US dollars 32 million yearly.
And if we are to extend, by the end of 2021, we should be able to reach epidemic control. Epidemic control means we have hit the 95, 95, 95 targets. Then we can work towards ending AIDS by 2030.
we've also observed that there is an increase in a type of strains that we refer to as recombinant strains, which means that the virus has a mixture of different strains that form a particular virus that goes on to infect an individual.
Efforts to combat HIV/AIDS prevalence has necessitated government to spearhead a number of campaigns, including condom use, male circumcision, and the ABC strategy. Uganda Virus Institute in Entebbe, that is mandated to research on viral diseases, including HIV, is one of the major health achievements in the health sector. Uganda Virus Institute is studying the genetic makeup of HIV strains that are prevalent in the country. Scientists recommend that special attention be given to high-risk groups, for instance, the fishing communities, commercial sex workers, and truck drivers.
The truth of the matter is it's important to intervene in those communities, but it's also important to extend those interventions to the neighboring general populations that are further inland, because infections are coming from there into the fishing community.
Non-communicable diseases are also among illnesses killing over 40% of Ugandans annually.
This ministry recognized the issue, the big challenge of non-communicable diseases, and raised the non-communicable diseases program into a department. It's now a fully-fledged department, but underfunded. I hope we shall get resources to fund and get more staff.
Ministry of Health has of late directed all ministries and government agencies to secure a special day for exercise to ensure good staff health. Uganda's health system has also improved by about 3 times what used to be before 1986. Mtonyi Helda, UBC.
Thank you so much, Hilda, for that mini feature. Then, of course, looking at the health sector and the achievements therein ever since the NRM took over power. Now, Caring Heart Breakthrough Ministry and Orphanage Center continues to offer assistance to vulnerable children from across the country. The lead pastor, Caring Heart, Pastor Paul Musisi, was speaking to the media in regard to a child, Luka Katende of Muchondo village, Kachiri, Wakiso district, who was burnt by his guardian. Now, this was at Kagula Hill in Wakiso district.
The lead pastor at Caring Heart Ministries, Pastor Paul Musisi, has advised parents and guardians to stop causing bodily harm to their children and infants. Musisi says Caring Heart continues to interface with vulnerable children mistreated and injured by parents and guardians, sometimes leading to disabilities.
We want to do everything we can do to make sure that the father who did that, who burned his son, is taken to court, because we cannot let this happen. That's how it is, you know, in this wicked generation, but we must protect the children.
Musisi, who is also the director of the Caring Heart Breakthrough Ministries and Orphanage Center, says he's going to make sure that some of the parents that cause bodily harm to their children are punished.
You can never know. Maybe that child, that kid you are burning today, you're beating, you're abusing, will be the next president after 20 years or 30 years.
Pastor Musisi, who was flanked by Pastor Olivia Semakula Musisi, also offered financial and material assistance to the burnt children.
One of the members of the community came to us and told us that there is a boy who was badly burnt by the guardian who needs help to be taken back to school. Luka, his name is Luka, he's 7 years old. He has never been to school. We've come out as Caring Heart to help Luka go back to school so that he can become a responsible person in future. He's suffering with the burns and we are going to take him for medical treatment until when he's well, and then he will be enrolled to study in the school and we shall provide his basic needs.
Kayumba Steven compiled this report.
Very sad indeed to see that such things are still happening. How do you, as a parent, burn your own flesh and blood? Now, thousands of born-again Christians have converged at the House of Prayers Ministries in Kikoni, Kawempe Division for Thanksgiving prayers. The lead pastor, House of Prayers Ministries, Aloysius Bugingo, says that there has been a period of success in the ministry in the last 9 years of existence and applauded the NRM government for the freedom of worship. Let's hear in this story.
House of Prayer Ministries International has commemorated 9 years of existence. The church started its gospel programs at Bat Valley Primary School in 2011. The church headquarters in Canaan Land, where it wants to build a church, offices and other infrastructure on an over 8-acre land.
What have made us succeed to this extent is the grace of God. Secondly, we are the people who never give up. We have faced all the hurdles. We have faced all the rough areas, but those rough areas have helped us to see that we can push ahead.
Pastor Bugingo expressed gratitude to government for the enabling environment that allows freedom of worship, something he says has fostered development.
Also to thank the government that has created the environment of the freedom of worship. We are independent, we are indigenous, but we've managed to succeed without external funds.
Bugingo says that many Ugandans have continued to realize God's word, and as explained by the increase in the number of followers.
A mountain is not that smooth. If it was smooth, people would not climb. So that roughness, it also helps us to hold somewhere to keep pushing up.
We should go and help them instead of just fighting them and destroying them psychologically, intellectually and spiritually.
Pastor Bugingo outlined achievements in the past 9 years and said there is more to come. Report compiled by Mganga Henry.
Now, early this year, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni participated in the 195-kilometer Africa Kwetu trek around Luwero Triangle. Now, this trek happened 21 years after a similar trek in 1999. And as the country celebrates the 34th Liberation Day anniversary in Ibanda district, our reporters Ivan Kahwa and Philip Aguta retrace the steps of the 2020 adventurous trek with the head of state and recount the journey.
It is Friday, 3rd January 2020, and Kololo airstrip is filled with both junior and senior army officers, veterans, journalists and other people awaiting departure for Garamba in Wakiso. The gathering is to trek 195 kilometers in remembrance of what the National Resistance Army combatants went through as they engaged in a guerrilla war to oust the government they were opposing in early 80s.
Why did I become a soldier? I became a soldier to defend myself and my people against state-inspired violence.
A drive from Kololo airstrip in Kampala, we set off for Garamba, the genesis spot for the trek. At the first camping site, food is served. Groups split into units codenamed kois, and each trekker gets a jerrycan, bucket and soap. These things are to be used in the entire journey, and one is required to move with their luggage.
Ekoi, platoon 1, 2, 3. B-koi, platoon 1, 2, 3. C-koi, platoon 1, 2, 3. And D-koi, ufanye kwa hiyo kwa speed. Tusikazende chikatano.
Uganda People's Defense Forces erect camping tents in which the trekkers had to rest after hiking for hours. This applied to all camping sites through the week-long trek. Just like any unusual activity, the jamboree was briefed on the do's and don'ts during the journey.
For any reason you feel like stopping, inform the platoon commander or the company commander. Stop, sit on the side. We shall protect you until the car comes. If you have a problem, a health problem, if you are sick, if you have diabetes, if you have a heart problem, please take care of your own health. You are responsible for your health. We shall have water with us. My suggestion is don't drink water like a fool. Sip water. Don't drink it. Sip water slowly. In case we are moving and you have a running stomach or you want to go and do something in the bush, please don't. Ask for permission so that we can protect you in the bush. Don't go there.
Sleeping time now. As the clock counts at about 5 a.m., whistles are blown to wake the trekkers up. It was prudent for one to keep time, or else risked missing out on breakfast due to oversleeping. Additionally, the tents had to be dismantled for relocation to the next site.
Oh, Uganda, we celebrate. Oh, Uganda, we celebrate. With the oil 70 of the Son of Africa. With the oil 70 of the Son of Africa. Oh, Uganda, we celebrate. Oh, Uganda, we celebrate. With the oil 70 of the Son of Africa. With the oil 70 of the Son of Africa. 5 years in the bush fighting for peace.
President Museveni arrives early morning at the venue amid tight security. The president shares a story with the gathering on the significance of Garamba to the liberation of Uganda. Garamba is where the third attempt to attack Kabamba happened.
We are like leading 4 campaigns. Campaign number 1 was from Kalamba, the 6th of February, after about 1985. That campaign, these politicians didn't go talk of fundraising. For us, we were done raising. Because we didn't have guns, the first campaign had to raise guns. No other job. Look for guns, get guns, get guns. And that's getting guns, we had to use some economics. Don't spend bullets if you are not going to get no bullets. You just use the job. As a guy in Ghana. Because the effort that time was to get guns. Those who didn't have guns. We had hope of getting guns from outside, but they never came. So we said we shall get them from here. So all the operations were to get guns,
This place, Garamba, was a unit next to mine. I started commanding Rota unit 1981 around July, August there. By the time I started command, my unit had, I could say, 2.5 guns, because one was my pistol, which I came with from UNRA, because I was a commissioned officer in UNRA. So I had my pistol, which I came with. So my unit had only 2 guns, 2 SMGs and my pistol. That is all. A whole unit of it had about 40 combatants, well trained. But because of the support we had amongst the people here, within 2 months, my unit had 15 guns, which we disarmed from the government troops in small ambushes. So the best part of it is that we did not have all that hope to survive or see all this peace and our credits. We did not think we would make it.
What was your inspiration that you would actually come, hide in the bushes here, then make combat and eventually take over government?
Our inspiration, especially mine, was the indiscipline of the force of the UNLA that we were part of. As officers who had trained in Monduli in 1979 after defeating Idi Amin, I was among the first officers to commission, including General Katumba Wamala, General Eri Tumwina and others. So we thought we would have a disciplined army. My first posting was in Gur, for example. We had a very good uniform called Franklin, which was bought from UK. It was a very good uniform. But the way we ashamed it, can you imagine that in Ugur, for example, which was my unit, because our soldiers used to root piglets, from the farmers. You see all these pockets, they would throw, yes, and so the older pigs started running away from us and quarreling whenever we could be around. Whenever they would see the uniform, they would know that this is the uniform which steals their piglets. So you can imagine that kind of discipline.
He flags off the trek. The journey of 30 kilometers from Garamba to Bukatira in Nakaseke begins. The trekkers were followed by a convoy of vehicles to be used by those that would tire out.
Well, it's real, like the distance is real. It's too much. I'm tired. I'm too tired.
As the president moves, he makes a number of stopovers to talk to people or at health break spots. People on this trek were compelled to move on foot and not to use vehicles in order for them not to miss out on meals and health breaks. The vehicles had to be left behind. Along the journey were those who would tire out and sit along roadsides. Fortunately, ambulances were readily available to handle any unusual situation. Artists, sons and daughters of soldiers, both dead and alive, trekked the journey.
Been good. We have done good exercise. We have learnt different things, seen different people. It's been a wonderful experience. And still going on. We are still enjoying. Yeah.
The experience has been really good. We actually
following our fathers, tracing our fathers' footsteps where they passed. Because particularly the group I'm in, Watoto wa Jeshi is a group for kids of the foreign comrades and those alive. So we're really tracing our father's footsteps, and it's really good, and we have learned the struggle was real.
Okutambula kwa President Museveni bandiyigiddemu okumanya omusajja ayagala eggwanga lye, ayagala ensi ye, naffe Abannayuganda twagala ensi yaffe nga bwe tweyagala.
Experience yabadde ta mu kutambula kuno?
Experience yange mu lugendo luno endaze nti President Museveni n'eggye lye balwanirira eddembe lye tulimu kati Bannayuganda nga bayita eno, ate kati ffe tulina omukisa nti tuyita mu kkubo lirino, naye bo bayitanga eyo mu maggwa, mu kisenyi, kutegeera mu miti, Buganda basanga obuzibu bw'amaanyi nnyo nga balwanira ffe tufune edde.
This longest trek of 30 kilometers took about 9 hours of footing. From 9:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. we were residents in Ibukatira, Nakaseke district. Key to note here is that the president would also sleep within the camps. Each morning, testimonies from Liberation War veterans would engulf the ears of the trekkers. Sad, good, and ugly stories were told. This was done on a daily at every camp before trekking further.
Banange mwakola omulimu munene okulata ku Museveni n'atununula. Mwebale nnyo, mwebale ddala. Nze nnyimba ezimu zinkabye n'okunkaabya. Mbeera mu nnyumba omwo ne bayimba oluyimba nti abantu aba baligana pita yalini
zaali zimala ssaawa nga 11 ne bankuba omukono guno ekirema wakyaki wetwanyiridde kyanya bwennyini we bankubira ansi yakulafiteyankubira nesobola okukwata omukono ogwo nengenda nga batutwala emisinde gyotakolaki gyotalabanga. Mulinzi Kabendi yanyamba nnyo kubanga baali bansuula nanga temusobola kusuula nsanga ne baatera ku kitanda kyali kyakomerera bakikola mu nnyumba ne baatera ku kitanda kyakomerera kubanga bankuba esasi okubawa otumulawo tewagala nakuddayo kutuula netuuka mu kampu ne bansalako ebikola ebyali bisense buse wano ne bantunga.
Twalina empisa era nga ogenda wa mwana ye kino bbayo ekikajjo n'okiya ggwe simanyi akande pekosi bwakwatako oba olagawa olina okuwandika statement. Twalina empisa era mwana ye kiboba omusabye ekikajjo n'akikuwa era reporting ewa komandawo.
Ekiseera kyali bya kiro ne bukya ssaawa z'okuba kabamba nezituuka kati muzeeyi naye n'ajja kennyini n'atweyungako mu rooli kati aba atambula bw'ati nandama n'antunulira n'anyenya omutwe n'agamba lakini nanaleeta buno ate kolaba muzeeyi ng'ayogedde oluswayiri omanta akoze ki anyize kakati bali bena bagambye nti olaba ono omwana Fred n'agamba omanya Fred muzeeyi naffe ono omwana twamusanze busazi emotoka emaze okusimbula naye ate Fred ng'agezaako okugamba Fred president nti omwana muveeko tusembererako tagadi yakabanga ekyagenda okuddirira essasi lya General Tumwine kati ngenda okulaba batandise okudduka bafuluma ababo baali meeting bamanyi buli omu kyalina okukola engazi angazi sina kimmanyi so nze nasigala mu konteina mpulira ebintu bibwatuka kati omutima niga bagenda kukola okisenge mu loole luno nengezako okufuluma mungize kakati olw'okukyankalana n'abaana abange bavanga Julius nga sibategeera.
General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni last trekked in 1999 with a spear, though this year 2020 he trekked with a stick.
They were going to use it for climbing the hills, that mountain there. Long, because if it is a spear for war, it shouldn't be so long. I don't know where my people put it. If I had it, I would have used it because it is the same as the one I'm using now, a shando. They are all long. Support you when you are walking, especially in the hills, support you. So it is different items, but for the same purpose.
Some sections of the trek required use of motor vehicles, but one thing to note during the trek was that the president was in easy moods, freely conversing with any member among the trekkers, including journalists.
Yes, I am walking symbolically to educate, especially in the difficult sections. That's why we chose the difficult sections. We walked in the difficult sections, the mountains, the hills. Unfortunately, in the hills also, people don't live there. As you saw in the hills, there are few people. We didn't meet, so it was actually convenient. The difficult part, population was small, and therefore we could walk. But in the other lowland areas, the population is packed. How would you pass by people at Kavari, there near Masuriti? How would you pass by them? And you say, I'm walking. How would you pass by the Barugwara? The Barugwara.
This was also an opportunity for locals to interact with the head of state. The week-long trek ended successfully without any unfortunate incident reported. Journalists were all over the trek to inform the public on what was transpiring.
Man, the trek is not easy, and I'm glad I have worked with the trekkers up the final day covering them, and this is the story I've delivered to you.
Finally, I'm making it.
Ivan Kahwa and Philip Aguta, inspiring Uganda.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Operation Wealth Creation is coordinating all government ministries, departments and agencies to unveil unique investment opportunities in every region of Uganda to local and international investors to transform subsistence farmers into the money economy. Operation Wealth Creation presents the Rwenzori Investment Expo, scheduled for the 30th to 31st of January 2020 at Mountains of the Moon University, Fort Portal City. Theme: Investment for Local Economic Development. This expo is one of the many regional investment expos anchored on agro-industrialization for local economic development, agri-led program, and will be held countrywide. Come explore investment opportunities in the Rwenzori region, from mining, tourism, agriculture, and many more. The guest of honor will be His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda. For more information, contact National Organizing Committee.
Welcome back from that trek and of course from that commercial break there. Now let's talk business. The Commissioner of Agriculture Extension and Skills Management at the Ministry of Agriculture, Patience Rwamigisa, says the ministry is employing 3,000 people, a thing he attributes to the persistent subsistence syndrome in the agriculture-based nation. Now, a team of officers from the agriculture training colleges and universities, Ministry of Agriculture and partners from the Sasakawa Agriculture Fund for Extension Education, SAFE, are in Kampala to devise means of improving agriculture extension delivery. Let's get more in this report.
The Commissioner of Agriculture Extension and Skills Management at the Ministry of Agriculture, Patience Rwamigisa, says the current number of staff within the department may not trigger a desirable green revolution.
Studies have shown that for us to cause a green revolution in this country, we need about 25,000 technicians, agricultural technicians working with smallholder farmers on a daily basis. We have an estimated 4 million households that are in subsistence agriculture. As a department, countrywide, I have only about 3,800 extension staff. So you have 4 million households and you have 3,000 staff. So it is very difficult to have a significant impact.
Rwamigisa applauded Sasakawa Africa Association for sponsoring over 3,000 agriculture extension students for degree courses at Makerere University.
And the quality of the service, because these people, the person providing this service must be knowledgeable, really skilled. You know, it is one has one knowledge, another one have the skill.
Meanwhile, Makerere University Head of Department at the School of Agriculture, Professor Paul Chiwika, is not happy that a big number of agriculture extension professionals that graduate annually.
Now, the number, we turn out actually quite a good number of extension agents, but most of them cannot be absorbed into the public extension because the government has its own limitations on recruitment.
Since 1995, Sasakawa Africa Association, through the Sasakawa Agriculture Fund for Extension Education, has been in partnership with the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries and Makerere University to train mid-career agriculture extension professionals to upgrade to degree holders.
Agricultural extension workers in Uganda, the focus is on value chain agriculture. The focus is on ICT. The focus is on, get the needs of farmers.
Over 2,000 extension workers have so far been trained.
We require a lot of extension and education, a lot, because this is the time of takeoff, where people like farmers are listening to grow food for their stomachs, and they are turning to agribusiness.
But the current situation of the students, of the people who are now produced to go in the field, that's where the biggest challenge is. One, their attitude to agriculture has not been very okay, and therefore many of them don't mind to go to farmers directly. They want to be in offices.
I'm Nafka Farida and Setumba Douglas.
World news now, and we go to China, where a new coronavirus that has spread to almost 2,000 people is infectious in its incubation period before symptoms show, making it harder to contain, according to Chinese officials. Now, some 56 people have died from the virus. Health Minister Ma Xiaowei told reporters the ability of the virus to spread appeared to be strengthening. And several Chinese cities have imposed significant travel restrictions. Wuhan in Hubei, the source of the outbreak, is in effective lockdown. The infections were at a crucial stage of containment, Ma Xiaowei said. Officials announced that the sale of all wildlife in China would be banned from Sunday. Now, the virus was initially thought to have originated in animals. In humans, the incubation period, during which a person has the disease but no symptoms yet, ranges from between 1 and 14 days, officials believe. Sports news now, and Vipers Sports Club have unveiled Fred Kajoba as their new head coach. Kajoba, who will be deputized by Ibrahim Mugisha, said he is set for the task ahead and promised to lead Vipers to their 4th league title. Kajoba says he comes with a wealth of experience training both the national team and Bright Stars FC. Fred Kajoba, a national team goalkeeping coach, takes over from Edward Golola, who was fired last week alongside his technical team after a Uganda Cup defeat by lowly Kajansi FC.
I'm proud and happy to inform you that this morning, on behalf of Vipers Sports Club, we want to unveil a new team that's going to take on Vipers Sports Club from today on contract basis. And I just pray that the new team that is coming in fulfill our ambitions. Fulfill our ambitions as Vipers Sports Club. It is a policy of Vipers Sports Club to give powers to the head coach to choose those ones whom he's going to work with. So I can only promise you that in the due course, other members of the technical team will be announced.
I'm assuring you 100% we are going to perform. We are going to perform because I have Mugisha. Why I first get Mugisha? Because they are calling me clean sheet man. So I told Mugisha so that we can keep 12 clean sheets.
We are almost at the end of this bulletin, but before we leave you, let's have a quick reminder of our top stories. NRM Liberation Day 2020, 34 years are marked. Former Tanzanian leader graces NRM Day. Elsewhere in the world, the coronavirus spreads, kills 56 and affects 2,000. And in sports, Fred Kajoba is Vipers' new head coach. It is coming to 2 minutes to 11. Thank you so much for having kept us company. That is the end of this bulletin. On sign language, it has been Elizabeth Nakakoni. And I am Edward Rukidi Kijananguma, wishing you a blessed night and see you some other time.